Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavini ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Mathura Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Jagannath Swami ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Jamuna Mai ki jai. Tulasi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande. Hari 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 Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Swami Namni Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Siddhartmani Shri Gaurakarana Chakti Bhakti Namni Narayana Namaskritya Naroncheva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tatujayam Udirayat Nashcha Prayesva Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavata Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Morning, the devotees of humble obeisances, glory to Srila Prabhupada. This morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class is from Canto 1, Chapter 14, and text 31. So 1:14:31. Yoshinascharudešnascha Sambho Jambavati Sutta Anyecha Karsni Pravara Satputra Rishabhadaya Sushinas Charudeshnascha Sambho Jambavati Sutta Anyecha Karshni Pravara Saputra Rishabhadaya Sushinas Charudeshnascha Sambho Jambavati Sutta Anyecha Karshni Pravara Saputra Rishabhadaya. Hare Krishna. You can chant now if you want.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Sushenascharudeshnascha Shambho Jambavati Sutta Anyecha Karshni Pravara Suputra Rishabhadaya.
Yay. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna. Go ahead, Prabhu. Shushesna charudeshena cha Sambho Jambavati Sutta Anne cha Karshni Pravaraha Saputra Rishabhadaya. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sushenascharadeshnascha Sambho Jambavati Sutaha Anyecha Karshni Pravaraha Sabutra Rishabhadayaha. Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else?
सुशेषस्न चारुदेशश्च साम्बो जाम्बवती सुता अन्ये च काश्मी प्रवरा सपुत्रा ऋषभादया.
Okay. Okay. Word for word. Sushena, Susena. Charudeshna, Charudeshna. Cha and Samba, Samba. Jambavati Sutta, the son of Jambavati. Anye, others. Cha, also. Kashni, the sons of Lord Krishna. Pravara, all chieftains. Saputra, along with their sons. Rishava, Rishava. Adaya, etc. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, the Prabhupada Ki Jai. Are all the chieftain sons of Lord Krishna, such as Sushena, Charudeshna, Samba, the son of Jambavati, and Rishabha, along with their sons, all doing well? Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As already mentioned, Lord Krishna married 16,108 wives, and each of them had 10 sons. Therefore, 16,108 times 10 is 161 and 80 sons. They all grew up, and each of them had as many sons as their father. And the whole aggregate was something near 1,610,800 family members of the Lord. The Lord is the Father of all living beings, who are countless in number. Therefore, only a few of them are called to associate with the Lord in his transcendental pastimes as the Lord of Dwarka on this earth. It is not astonishing that the Lord maintained a visible family consisting of so many members. It is better to refrain from comparing the Lord's position to ours, and it becomes a simple truth as soon as we understand at least a partial calculation of the Lord's transcendental position. King Yudhishthira, while inquiring about the Lord's sons and grandsons at Dwarka, mentioned only the chieftains among them, for it was impossible for him to remember all the names of the Lord's family members. Oma Gnati Mirandasya, Gyana Gana Shalakaya, Chakshu Umlitam Jena, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha, Shri Chaitanya Manovistam, Stapitam Yena Bhutale, Swayam Rupa Kadamayam, Tadati Swa Padantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Vita Padakamalam, Shri Guru Vaishnavam Scha, Shri Rupa Sagajatam, Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam, Tam Sajivam, Sadvaitam, Savadutam, Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam, Shri Radha Krishna Pada, Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Scha. He Krishna, Karuna Sindhu, Dinabandhu Jagat Pate, Gopesha Gopika Kanta, Radha Kanta Namostate. Tapta Kanchana Gourangi, Radhe Vrindavaneshwari, Vishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripa Sunibhya Evacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Rishatayani. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Guratuse Namaha. Ananda Nilamaya Vigrahaya Imabhya Divacha Vishandaraya Tasmi Mahaprema Raspadaya Chitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Chitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Chitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Chitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Hare Krishna. So the English translation again. Are all the chieftain sons of Lord Krishna, such as Sushena, Charudeshna, Samba, the son of Jambavati, and Rishava, along with their sons, all doing well? Hare Krishna. So this is an inquiry being made by King Yudhishthira to his younger brother Arjun, who had traveled and who had returned to Hastinapur, but in a very, very disturbed state, a state of sorrow. There were tears in Arjun's eyes. And from that posture, Maharaj Yudhishthira could tell that something was not quite right. And so he started asking about those in Dwarka what their situation was. He wanted some sort of report from Arjun. And rather than ask what's going on, he started firing questions, sometimes to kind of sidetrack the issue. Maybe it's a bigger issue. Maybe it's a bigger issue that I don't want to know about, but let me just fire all these questions that if I get a report about them, maybe I'll feel a little better. This is, it's human nature, typically. Naraji was doing that. As a matter of fact, Kalakanta Prabhu also mentioned something to that effect, because it's all along the same lines of questions, these texts, this area. Srila Prabhupada mentioned that Krishna, with the 16,108 wives, he had 10 sons from each one. And so that's 10 times 16,108, it's 161,000 and change. Then they all grew up, they married, and they had 10 sons each, as many sons as their father Krishna. So then his sons and grandsons totaled 1,610,000. That's a lot of people from Krishna himself, from this family line. These were distinguished people, very much connected with the pastimes that Krishna decided to come and perform on earth when Mother Bhumi complained. Now, they were in Dwarka. Arjun had visited Dwarka, but before they went, this was a situation, this is way back before even the war started. This is the situation, the war is over. That is Mother Bhumi that complained about the demons wreaking too much havoc on the planet. And so wanting help to deal with them, it got to the point where Lord Brahma got involved in it, because Lord Brahma was pulled into it. The demigods all wanted some change in favor of Mother Bhumi. And so when they went to the shore of the Milk Ocean to talk to Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, and his response was that Krishna was going to take birth in the Yadu dynasty. They actually, according to Gaga Samhita, Gaga Muni says that Kshirodakshaya Vishnu arranged for the demigods to actually go to see Krishna in Golok Vrindavan, to lodge the complaint and hear it directly from Krishna. And so Krishna also told them, yes, you will have to take birth, your partial incarnation, Amsa. So that was the first time I learned demigods can do Amsa also. Partial from them. Take birth in the Yadu dynasty. And when Lord Brahma heard that, so we read a section from Garga Samhita, Lord Brahma got excited about it. And so he started asking the Lord Krishna, where will I take birth? He wanted to know whether he would be part of it, and who would he become? And where will you take birth? Asking Krishna, where will you take birth? And where will the demigods take birth? What homes and what names? So Gagamuni supplies some of it because there was a lot of demigods, of course. The other dynasty was a lot. Supreme Personality of Godhead first said, that should not surprise anybody if you've been listening for a while. He said, I will take birth in Devaki from Vasudeva. So he told them, even before this happened. And my transcendental Kala expansion, that is Sesha or Balaram, will take birth in Rohini. He says, of this, there's no doubt. This is what's going to happen. So he described where he would take birth first. Then he continued, the goddess of fortune, she would take birth as Bhishmaka's daughter, Rukmini. So he's telling the demigods all of this now. And Lord Shiva's consort, that is Parvati, would take birth as Jambavati. And Tulsi would take birth as Satya, and Vasundhara as Satyabhama. So then he's giving, they're all very, very excited about what's going to happen this other dynasty. So now, Gagamuni is describing who is going to take birth and where. So goddess of fortune, Lord Vishnu's consort, he was going to be Rukmini. Sometimes we hear in the Shastra, they talk about Rukmini, the wives and goddesses of fortune. Well, this is the proof. And Lord Shiva's consort, Parvati, she would be Jambavati. And Tulsi would take birth as Satya and Vasundhara as Satyabhama. Now, Vasundhara, some of you may not have heard before, but that's another name for Mother Bhumi. Mother Bhumi herself. So Mother Bhumi is partial was Satyabhama. The whole, obviously, pastimes unfolded for these wives, every one of them coming. There was a situation, and then, of course, 16,100 of them that they started to defeat a demon to get them. So this is quite interesting. So, the main queens, Rukmini, Jambavati, Satya, and Satyabhama, they are among the primary queens, and Krishna would marry them. Now, then it begins to make people, maybe people would think, but somebody like Parvati is Lord Shiva's consort. So why is Krishna going to marry an incarnation expansion of Lord Shiva's consort? But we have to understand that all souls are feminine in relationship with Krishna. He is the supreme male. He is a husband. He is a Parama Purusha. And so he may accept the company of any number of exalted women at any time based on his pastimes. And there will be no fault in it. He is the owner of everything. So in that sense, that, and also the question of sometimes is, well, sometimes we hear in the Brasa dance in Vrindavan that Krishna is dancing with the gopis, but they are married and so on. And in fact, there's one incident that occurred involving an elderly Indian gentleman who questioned this, brought this point up to Srila Prabhupada. And said, Srila Prabhupada, I have a problem with, and I'm paraphrasing, but what we said was pretty much the same, with Krishna dancing the Rasa dance with other people's wives. And this is Dhanabhya Goswami reporting this. And he said, Srila Prabhupada roared back at him and he said, it is them that are, if there's any relationship, it's them that are relating to Krishna's property, Krishna's wife, not the other way around. So this shot back at the guy says, that person, that gopi belongs to Krishna. And not what you think. Of course, there's arrangement made that those husbands take care of the gopis on behalf of Krishna. This is really what's going on. Anyway, so Dakshina, Krishna is continuing. He will become Lakshman. Viraja will become Kalindi, and Hri will become Bhadra, and Janavi, who destroys sins, he will become Mitravinda. So then the Lord is describing who will do this, who will be taking birth. So many. So Dakshin is the consort of Lord Yagya. And Viraja is the personified causal ocean. And Hri is the Lord's feminine energy and consort. Then she resides over the modesty. So they are all primary wives then. These are goddesses, primary wives of Lord Krishna, Lakshman, Kalindi, Bhadra, and Mitravinda. Now, in the meantime, Lord Brahma asked this question. So Lord Brahma had not known yet what he was going to be. So that was coming up. He was obviously anxious to know. Kamadev will be born as Pradyumna. Kamadev. And then he told Lord Brahma, you will take birth as his son. Of this, there's no doubt. So Rukmini's son, Pradyumna, was actually Cupid, Kamadev. And anyway, it's also confirmed in Bhagavatam. So Lord Krishna refers to you, when he says you, he meant Lord Brahma. And Lord Krishna indicated that Lord Brahma will also participate in the pastimes as Krishna's grandson, and that is Aniruddha. So Lord Brahma's partial became Aniruddha for this particular pastime. Now in Goddess Amrita, so many situations come at different times where different demigods take birth and different demigods become the father of others. We know a little bit in the Srimad Bhagavatam, but it's extended so much about when it comes to that in the Gagamuni's report is quite extensive. We know that Lord Varaha, for example, took birth, and that was the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, coming from pastime with Hiranyaksha, but he took birth through Lord Brahma, came to Lord Brahma's nostril. So it shouldn't surprise anybody that sometimes the Lord does what he wants when he wants. So these were all in Dwarka. So the demigods took birth like that. This is some of them, but a whole lot of them obviously took birth in the Yadu dynasty. No wonder it was not easy to defeat the Yadu army, because these were high-level demigods that were the commanders. Pradyumna, and they were very, very, very strong. In fact, there's a whole book on Pradyumna's conquests when he was in Dwarka. So Srila Prabhupada says, it is better to refrain from comparing the Lord's position to ours. Just like the other one that's talking about this Indian gentleman saying that but Krishna is dancing with other people's wives. And the teacher, Srila Prabhupada wrote back that it was he and not Krishna that was improperly dancing with another's wife. After he pointed at him, you married, your wife belongs to Krishna. You actually are taking Krishna's property. So, we have to have that understanding that everything belongs to Krishna for Krishna's enjoyment. And we are the enjoyed. And Srila Prabhupada has stressed that sometimes when we hear about having to serve, we are going through so much suffering. We're going through so much strain of our bodies, work, so many things, having to pay taxes just to live in this material world. So he was saying in another lecture that sometimes when people hear, oh, you're going to go back to the spiritual world and you're going to serve, he said, serve again? I've already been through so much of the problems and how it weighs on me trying to live here in the material world, serving the material energy. If I go to the spiritual world, I'll be serving again. So when will I be really free? And Srila Prabhupada explains that sometimes people confuse service in the spiritual world to what you have to deal with in this material world. Service in the spiritual world is blissful. It is very blissful. Krishna interacts with us in the service. So there is exchange of love And the loving service that we give to Krishna is to increase our love for him so that he will also serve back to us. So there's actually loving exchange in the service. We don't get loving exchange in the service in this material world. It's not like that. But there's love. And not only that, the service is easy because everything is provided. You don't have to think about how to go get this, how to go get, no, it is there. And so it is a very blissful way of service. And so Sri Prabhupada is trying to remind us that going back home, yes, we'll be serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but that is the best thing for all of us. So Sri Prabhupada continues that it's better to refrain from comparing the Lord's position to ours. So we should understand that the Lord's transcendental position is wonderful, and when we connect with him, then we also become happy. So he is, in fact, the seed-giving Father, as it says in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, text 4, Sava Yonishi Konteya, Bhutaya Samavantiya, Tasham Brahma Mahat Yonir, Aham Bija Pradapita. Srila Prabhupada quotes that quite a bit. The translation is, it should be understood that all species of life, Osana Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving Father. There's extensive lectures that Bhakti Swami has given also about the material nature and how Lord Shiva gets involved in it and so on. We know about his destruction part, that he's responsible for the destruction, but he's also connected with helping for the living entities to come to the material world again, especially when the planets come back out of Mahavishnu. We'll get into that. I don't want to go too far away from what we're talking about today. In the purport for this, that Krishna is the seed-giving Father, Sri Prabhupada says, it's clearly explained that the personality of Godhead is the original Father. The living entities from material and spiritual nature, and living entities are not only on this planet, but on every planet. And the scientists ought to hear that. Most of the time, they think that every place is bare, and then only this planet. Very, 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 but they have so tunnel vision. Tunnel vision, they can't see beyond anything else. But the fact is, every planet is populated on the surface of it as well as inside of it. On the surface and also inside. So even in this planet, the Earth, there is, in fact, entities that live in the center of this Earth. So anyway, that's a little thing that the scientists probably could make use of later, because their equipment doesn't really go that far. So Srila Prabhupada even explains that there are living entities not only within the water, we know that, but also within fire. And sometimes that just blows our mind. In living entities within fire? Because we might think that, oh, fire will burn everything. But a thing of a fiery nature, just like we are of the earthly nature, cannot be consumed by the fire if that entity is of the fiery nature. And that also confirms that if there are living entities within fire, then they also have souls. And the souls are not burning. Right? We conceive of it here that, oh, fire destroys everything. Well, it can't destroy the soul. That is said in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 22 to 24, that describes it can't be burned, it can't be broken, it can't be moistened, all of that. So there are living entities in the fire. There's more science in Krishna consciousness than you can find in these people that, talk about their material science. So that's even mind-blowing, because the ordinary person would think fire will burn everything, but they don't know that there are living entities who can live in fire. As a matter of fact, on Surya's planet, in the sun, the living entities are of fiery nature, like that. And Sri Prabhupada gave the analogy We can't live with these bodies in water. We cannot. But the fish can, and we see that, and the fish are able to live in water, one of the 5 elements, earth, water, fire. So we live on the earth and use the air. The fish live in the water. So why can't there be living entities in fire? He made that point. Why can't there be living entities in fire? So they are everywhere in the material creation. And the souls are present in all of them. And speaking about that, sometimes when we chant the Hare Krishna mantra, we should also give mercy to other living entities who are not in physical human type bodies, because they also have souls. And the souls can, in fact, souls still have senses, always, and they can, in fact, benefit from the holy name. So when we chant, even the entities that we cannot see, the germs that we can't see, if we chant out loud, their souls also benefit from the Hare Krishna mantra. And therefore, all the time when we're speaking out the mantra, we hear it helps us obviously to stay focused when the ears can hear when the mouth is speaking, and especially we're pronouncing the mantras distinctly, the words distinctly. But we also are not only giving ourselves benefit, getting closer to Krishna, growing more in love of Krishna, but the living entities around us are also benefiting. And so when you go for japa walks and so on, all of those, when you're speaking, you're chanting a mantra, all of those living entities are benefiting from it. So we're saying to say that for them to benefit, we should chant out loud rather than chant in our minds. In our minds, yes, the mantra is there still, but those living entities around us don't benefit from that. So speaking out loud will always be beneficial. Now, so here is Arjun feeling down after having returned from Dwarka, going to Mathura, and Yudhishthira is questioning what's going on. Arjun is feeling separation already. Now, as far as separation goes, separation from Krishna, the 7th sloka in the Shashtaka says, Yugayitam nimishena chakshusha pavrishayitam sunyayitam jagat savam govinda virahena me. Says, oh Govinda, feeling your separation, I'm considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. And tears are falling from my eyes like torrents of rain. And I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. So there's pain of separation from Krishna. And Lord Chaitanya describes that wonderfully in the 8 slokas in the Shastaka, the 7th one. That there's a feeling, those who are pure devotees of Krishna, whenever he's around them and then he leaves for whatever the reason is for his pastimes, they feel very, 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 very down. As is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 10, text 9 and 10, is a section of the purport, describes the situation also at Hastinapur, when Krishna was getting ready to leave. That was before even Arjuna went to visit. Subhadra, Draupadi, Kunti, Uttara, Gandhari, Dhritarashtra, Yutsu, Kripacharya, Nakul, Sadev, Bhima, Damya, Satyavati, they all nearly fainted because it was impossible for them to bear the separation from Lord Krishna. So, Srila Prabhupada says in the purport that Krishna is very, very attractive for the living beings, especially for devotees. So it's impossible for them to tolerate separation. But here we are, we've been in the material world for lifetimes after lifetimes after lifetime, always trying to desire something, and Krishna gives us a body for that thing. and we do some things that are good and some things that are not so good. And because of the karma, we take birth, and this is going on and on and on and on. But the real attraction, the personality with the greatest attraction is Krishna himself, as his name says. They're all attractive. So when we meet Krishna, it will be very, very, very wonderful. As a matter of fact, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has described when a person meets Krishna while we are in these type of physical bodies, seeing Krishna is so intoxicating that the one that is really, really having the eyes, the spiritual eyes to see Krishna, or being blessed with that from growing in Krishna consciousness, from growing in Krishna consciousness and developing love of Krishna. When Krishna reveals himself, it will be so, so overwhelming that that person, that entity would faint. Krishna's attraction is that, it's up there, it's that high. Many of us look at the deity, the attraction is there, but because it's taking us a while to kind of break from the anatas and so on, so then we are fortunate enough, he's given us mercy in his Archavigraha form, in his deity form, so that we can serve him. But we really see and we don't see, because if we see deeply, we'd be going crazy with the deity. But still, we get the mercy of being able to serve the Lord. So he's made himself available so that with our material eyes, we still can see the deity, but not deeply. Still be able to serve the deity. That's important because after all, we're learning to develop love again through devotional service. So that is definitely good for us, that the deity is there, especially in this Kali Yuga, when the Yuga Dharma is actually the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Dwapara Yuga is deity service. But we are getting both. We're getting deities as well as chanting too. So we're fortunate in that sense. So we've been under the spell of illusory energy and we've really forgotten the Lord. And that's the problem with us. So Srila Prabhupada is trying to get us. And sometimes he tells us what he really thinks of us. All we have to do is submit to the Lord, you ask him. He comes and says it. Says, yeah, see, you're making life difficult for your own self. But when you submit to the Lord, you surrender to the Lord, you would realize that even the material life, he will be there to protect. So many things would happen. A devotee's life should really not be normal. A devotee's life is supposed to be miraculous because Krishna can do so many things that we can't even think of doing, much less do it. And it is present now. When you connect with Krishna, we don't have to be in the spiritual world for that to be experienced. We can experience it now. When we give our hearts to Krishna, he controls everything that happens. Through the Paramatma. We do get messages. Some devotees, may not want to admit, but that in fact does happen. You get messages. The simplest of things, even there, Krishna is there to give a message to do for your day to go fairly smoothly. And when say fairly smoothly, because sometimes some things happen in an unexpected way, and it might not be what we were thinking, but a person that's submitted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and surrendered to him would find out sooner or later that in fact, the different thing that happened was to their advantage. The Krishna is always there to protect his devotees and to enthuse his devotees. So if you'd allow me, I'd want to say one meditation from my spiritual master, from a beggar one, from Bhakti-Tirtha Maharaj. Is the separation truly unbearable? We're separated from the Lord. We're not in the spiritual world. Is this separation truly unbearable? And he says, my dear Lord, I'm the one who says that separation from you and your kingdom is unbearable. But do I really mean it? The other day, this is about us devotees. The other day, I had a very difficult service, but I noticed that a few of my associates, my God family members, they had pleasant assignments. So then I got envious of them. But you have said that one who is dear to you is never envious. So I must not yet be tired of being separated from you. So the lesson in here of this first part of the meditation is we should never be envious of anyone. If we are envious of someone, that is an indication that our original situation with Krishna, envying Krishna, has not yet gone. We haven't gotten over it. Because if there's anything that anyone has that makes us envious, Krishna has so much more of it. So if we be envious of somebody's material possessions here, or whatever quality they have, or whatever they've learned, and that makes us envious, then we're not ready to go back. Because we will be in that same situation again of envying Krishna, who has so much more and gets all of the attention. The next part, my dear Lord, I'm the one who says separation from you and your kingdom is unbearable, but do I really mean it? You give me so much facility, but then I manage them as if I'm the owner. This is another problem. You've said that one who is dear to you does not see himself as proprietor. One who's dear to you does not see himself as proprietor. And we monitor things, but we monitor things like we own them. So how can we be attached to you when we are digging things that we're supposed to just manage and we act like we're the ones that are the owners of it? So again, we have to be careful about what is in our, including our houses and all of that. That's for the Lord. And we are servants in the Lord. That is in the properties. That is the consciousness that a devotee should have. Continuing, my dear Lord, I'm the one who says the separation from you and your kingdom is unbearable. But do I really mean it? Every day I try to see how I can feed the tremendous appetite of my ego. Every time things to feed my ego. But you have said that one who is dear to you is free of false ego. So when will I give up this ego situation and think that I'm better than others? So we have to be careful about that. That connects with humility. A person who is given up false ego is actually a humble person. My dear Lord, I'm the one who says separation from you and your kingdom is unbearable. But do I really mean it? I'm so easily put into anxiety by others. And that's a sign that I don't stand on very firm ground. You have stressed those who are dear to you cannot be put into anxiety by others. So when you trust Krishna, anything that happens, you know that Krishna is in control. And so we'll be able to get over it because Krishna would make sure that that happens. My dear Lord, I'm the one who says that being separated from you and your kingdom is unbearable. But do I really mean it? I'm constantly guided by the orthodox and mundane. That is, I'm connected so much to the material. And that is an issue that we face, especially when we go to work. Many of us have jobs that are connected with material things. And we have to somehow remember Krishna even when we're doing those material things. And that involves having to use the other senses and times that you can't speak because you're in talk or chant because you're in a meeting and you're talking with other co-workers. But when you have the picture of Radha Krishna in your office, when you have maybe a gadget that plays bhajans softly, all those things get the other senses to be connected with Krishna, and our subconscious picks up on it. So every time when you have some picture that reminds you of Krishna, like Lord Jagannath, smiling Jagannath in your car, and so on, all of those will help you. You may not be chanting a mantra that time when you're working, but those pictures and other pictures about the spiritual world that reminds you, all windows to the spiritual world, as Srila Prabhupada like to put it, explain to us. So those who are dear to you Krishna, you said that they don't consider the ordinary and they are always expecting a miracle because things that are miraculous to us are very simple to you to perform. So, my dear Lord, you're the one that said I'm the one that said the separation from you is unbearable. But do I really mean it? I'm like a coward, attached to material modes, and happiness and distress seems like water for happiness and fire for distress to me. So I want to be serious. But if I continue to look on all those who give me problems as my enemies, then how serious am I? Because you've explained that anyone who distinguishes between enemy and friend cannot come back home because there are no enemies in your kingdom. So that is a sign to us that we have to be careful of those that we regard as enemies. Everybody is trying to grow. That's a devotee. Going through purification. Non-devotees are also souls who are parts and parcels of Krishna, but they are more in the entanglement. And so entanglement of material nature, they are bound by the stringent laws, but they are also entangled. And so sometimes they would do things that obviously can upset us because we have emotions, but at the same time, we need to look at that at a higher level. This person is crying for love. This person does not know how to express what he really wants or what he or she really wants, but it's actually a cry for love. That if we react back in a positive way to that person, probably we will be able to get that person to, if not immediately, eventually change their attitude towards us. We cannot fight somebody who is acting inimical as an enemy to us with being inimical to them, an enemy to them. Two wrongs don't make a right. In fact, we'll become offensive, and in the end, even ISKCON won't get a good name because they will look at the person and say, oh, he's a devotee, but he acts this way. Even though you're reacting to somebody doing something bad to you, they still will turn around and blame you. So we have to be very, very careful, especially in the, when we are among non-devotees. Now, the Lord is always there. So Bhakti Maharaj ends this by saying that he heard the Lord say, you have always been and will always be dear to me, but you do not believe it. And that is what our problem is. We are dear to the Lord, and he has described towards the end of chapter 12 in Bhagavad Gita, the things that devotees do that would make them very dear to the Lord. He has spelled it out. All we have to do is do it. You have always been and will always be dear to me because Krishna loves us, but we don't believe it. Therefore, you separate us by being an enemy. But you can't be an enemy to me, though, because you can't defeat me. So by separating us that way, mentally, you become an enemy to your own self. So come on, my child, and experience what it is to be fully dear to me. So in that, Maharaj was challenging us that we shouldn't have enemies. We should believe in Krishna, that he loves us very much. So we should not distinguish between enemy and friend. And we should live our lives expecting the extraordinary when we're connected to Krishna. And it's very simple. All we do is we ask the Lord to take control of our lives. Every day in the morning, ask that activity should be, please, controlled. Lord, please do that. Control it. You decide what happens, and I'll be a puppet, and you can use me that way. And that's how the miracles come. The unusual things that we never think of. We couldn't have done that way come. Those who are dear to Krishna cannot be put into anxiety by others. Therefore, we should be chanting all of the time, thinking of the Lord, and also, whatever situation happens, we should counter it with our intelligence and say, Krishna is in control. We leave things to the hands of Krishna, then you get used as a puppet and things work out okay. We also have to understand that those who are dear to Krishna are free of false ego. So we need to check our false ego. We should not see ourselves as a proprietor. Everything belongs to Krishna. In the spiritual world, it's like that too, but they understand it well. Everything belongs to Krishna and they use it in serving the Lord. And finally, but most important, we should never be envious of any living entity. And that's why Srila Prabhupada has even said that when you see property of others, we should look at it like it's garbage. That consciousness would make us not be attached to who wants garbage. Garbage is to be disposed of. So you see something, oh, he's got this and I don't have this. It's not important. It will not take me back to Godhead. The mantra will take me back to Godhead. The devotion service will take me back to Godhead. That's important. And if anything else you see and you want that, then work for it and get it with the idea of using it to serve Krishna's devotees. Then it makes more sense. Then the mind is put in the proper perspective in things. So yes, separation is difficult, but by the guidance of the spiritual master, obeying the regulated principles, chanting a minimum of 16 rounds of japa, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If we have great faith, then Krishna will guide us through the agency of a spiritual master. And finally, we will be in the situation of eternal happiness. It is there for us. All we have to do is strive for it on a daily basis. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. That was wonderful, Prabhu.
Krishna's mercy.
That your Guru Maharaj's realization, amazingly put. And I also like the way Srila Prabhupada answered the question, dancing with other people's wives.
Wife.
If you look at and again, both of those connect, right? Everything belongs to Krishna. Nothing belongs to us. And to remember that. And again, like you were saying, we say the words, but do we actually mean it? It takes a lot of effort to look that deep within ourselves.
It's very, very important to understand. Everything belongs to Krishna.
And I think the other very important point is we do represent ISKCON. We represent Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON.
Yes.
So not just for ourselves, but also for this movement that he works so hard for. We have to be very careful how we deal with each other within the movement and outside.
Yeah. Very, very important. We represent ISKCON. Couldn't have said it better. We represent ISKCON. And the more people like us and how we behave towards them, especially non-devotees, the more likely they will to come and join and try to find out and ask questions. And we have so many answers to their questions. So many people feel, why is this? Why? You come to Krishna consciousness and you ask, you're going to get an answer. And a very good answer also. And that is all by the mercy of Guru and Gauranga. Supply it. And of course, relating well to each other will also make us want to stay in the movement and rather than try to go somewhere else to get everything that in fact Srila Prabhupada has it here in ISKCON. We don't need to go anywhere else. Hare Krishna.
This poem is in a book. It's in his.
Yeah, it's called The Beggar. In fact,
Beggar.
he wrote 4 volumes of Beggar. So this is from Beggar 1. Beggar 1. It's called, Is the Separation Truly Unbearable? Is the separation truly unbearable?
This is one to keep on the refrigerator and look at.
Oh, okay. I can send to you if you like.
Yes, please. And then I will send it out to everybody.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
I will do that. I'll make a note of it. Then P1 meditation, separation. Okay. Okay. Jai.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Are there any questions?
Really, that separation you're talking about, it's very hard. And it's, being a human being, it's very hard to take that thing, separation from. But when we think that it is all, everything is Krishna's property, then at least our mind will be a little bit set, I think.
Yeah. We should use as much of what we have to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead by serving the devotees with it too. And that's what keeps us in that mindset that we don't own. We are caretakers. We should see ourselves as caretakers, not owners. Caretakers. But a caretaker can use the things that's there. It can, but use it for the person that owns it. Or according to the instructions of the person that owns it. Then the owner will be satisfied with you. So that's the mindset that we're supposed to have. And yeah, it takes work because we try to claim things like it's ours. When in fact it's not like that.
Prabhu, one more thing. Can you just repeat that what you are saying that from Garga Samhita, that Satyabhama is Mother Bhumi, you said?
Yeah, let me
repeat that, please?
Yeah, I will go back. I was actually reading it, so I'll just go back. So that part is the goddess of fortune would take birth as Rukmini.
Okay.
Lord Shiva's consort would take birth as Jambavati.
Okay.
Tulsi would take birth as Satya, so Tulsi to Satya. And Mother Bhumi will be Satyabhama.
Satya, who is that? Tulsi is this.
There is a Tulsi, there is Satya, and then there's also Satyabhama. They are not the same person.
Tulsi also Satyabhama and Mother Bhumi is also Satyabhama?
No. Tulsi would take birth as Satya. Satya. So Satya is, it's a queen. And Vasundhara, who's same thing as another name for Mother Bhumi, takes birth as Satyabhama. So there's a queen called Satya, and there's another queen, Satyabhama. Satyabhama is quite well known.
That's what I get a little confused.
Yeah. No, it's not just short for, Satya is not just short for Satyabhama. Satya is the queen by itself, and Satyabhama is also. So Mother Bhumi took birth as Satyabhama, and Tulsi, Satyabhama, Mother Bhumi.
Jambavati is Parvati.
Yes.
Lakshmi is Rukmini.
Yes. So they all took birth in the Yadu dynasty.
Yeah.
They did.
Very. Like Yudhishthira Maharaj says, it's very hard to remember all the names of Krishna's family, Lord's family.
Yeah. That's why, the end of the purpose of Prabhupada was saying that you still could not remember all of them. So he mentioned a few, principal ones that he could remember, and that was it.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. And the other thing is also you said Lakshmana is, who is that Lakshmana?
Oh, Dakshina will become Lakshmana.
And Jahanavi is Mitravinda.
Yeah. Yes. So Dakshina is the concept of the Lord called Yagya, Lord Yagya.
Okay.
That's in Vaikuntha planet. So Lord Yagya, his wife, his consort is Dakshina. And Dakshina will become Lakshmana as the queen of Krishna. So, all right. So I know.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Donataja Prabhu, I know you're patiently waiting, but go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Pariksit Prabhu. That was very inspiring. That was very inspiring, and I thank you so much for reading those prayers by Gurudev, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. And it's definitely made me recognize the need to go back and read them and really study them again. As it addresses that, you know, externally we may say or feel we want Krishna because, you know, we may develop some spiritual attraction, or we realize that with Krishna there's no material anxiety for us. But then, but internally, our emotions and mentality, we're still holding on to so many of you know, anarthas or feelings that are contradictory to what Krishna is telling us. And as you know, as was being outlined, you know, seeing people as envy, you know, jealousy, seeing people as, you know, enemies. And Krishna is saying, you know, if you really want me, you know, you have to give up this mentality. So the separation has to happen. And I'm afraid that, you know, too often we go through life and we feel like, okay, this is okay. I can hold on to my anarthas, and I still don't want Krishna. We want the best of both worlds, almost like, and you know, this should encourage us to really reflect upon this. But what advice can you give? You know, to, you know, if we realize this, what advice can you give to us to help us over this hump?
The first thing, and I'll just give an example. Those who go to the groups that deal with things like alcohol and drugs, as they call the AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, the first thing that those who run those groups tell the ones that need help is, first, you have to admit that it's a problem. In other words, you cannot get any kind of push towards mentally towards solving the problem unless you admit that you have a problem. That's the first thing. Sometimes people are in denial of those things. So one, after admitting that that problem is there, then you seek help. But in seeking help, what we have to do is also given to us through the agency of a spiritual master. Hearing tells us or reminds us what we need to work on, as we were talking about today through the meditation. And working on it comes from getting help from Krishna through the agency of Guru. And what does Krishna ask us to do? We have to be careful not to offend. That purifies not only our existence, but our strive towards perfection, spiritual perfection or purification. The chanting has to be done in a mood of desperation. The chanting has to be done in a prayerful mood, in a mood of desperation. When we need something, we're usually desperate and we try to pray to get that thing done. And so when it all comes from feelings from inside, that I need help, I cannot do it on my own. These are my problems. Lord, please help me. That way we surrender ourselves. And what is it there that Krishna can do? Krishna can do everything through the Paramatma, inside, and through the agency of Guru outside. So when we submit ourselves and ask for help for our anarthas, for our weaknesses, then Krishna arranges for the help to come. Now, one of the things I know my Guru Maharaj warned us about when he mentioned this, says Krishna will help you solve the problems. But the way he goes about it, it's the way he goes about it is the way he'll plan it. Don't think that you will know how he will go about it. You have to be prepared for how he does it. In other words, sometimes the problem will be solved when you pray long and hard, repeatedly, to have that anarthas go away. They'll go away, but Krishna sometimes arranges it in an unusual way. And so we should be prepared to realize that if the end result will be getting rid of that anarthas, then it's worth it, even if it meant that there were some physical situations that we have to go through. But Krishna will definitely solve it. So it's a matter of surrendering the problems to the Lord, at the lotus feet of the Lord, and say, please help me. Because a person that is in a situation that's difficult, and anathas that are there that's difficult to beat, will need help. The other thing is also we have to be very careful about our association. Associate with people who have, or people or devotees who don't have that particular problem. Because if it's associated with devotees who have problems similar to yours, then it would be a situation where they may not be working on it, and they will still exhibit that around you, and that won't help you get rid of that that anatha. So, connecting with devotees who have beaten that, even now you can pray for still. Lord, please direct me to a devotee that is more fixed up and doesn't have that issue, and let me be around that person so I can also learn from them. So little by little, the anathas would go away gradually. And finally, it's amazing how much you can get from listening to videos of Srila Prabhupada's disciples who talk about different situations that they had with Srila Prabhupada. There's a lot of videos. Now they put some of them on YouTube. It's called Remembering Srila Prabhupada. They will talk about things that happened. Some of them are very, very, very interesting. Some of them are funny. But if you see the Srila Prabhupada's mood and the kind of person that, personality that he is, but you pick up a lot of things too about our lives. That Srila Prabhupada gave us instructions to his disciples. And so this is something that I do every day. I would listen to. It takes about half an hour of remembering Srila Prabhupada. I go to YouTube, remembering Srila Prabhupada, and one after another, people talk about what happened and how Srila Prabhupada dealt with things. Just hearing that would improve your life on so many fronts. Being in the house, how we serve the deities, all of that has changed. Some of it has changed because of a correction that Srila Prabhupada made to another devotee, and that person talked about it on that Remembering Srila Prabhupada videos. So I would recommend it very highly, that you can also get quite a bit of what a devotee is supposed to be about by how Srila Prabhupada related to his disciples who were, asking things from him, or he saw them do something and he corrected them. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Pariksit Prabhu. It's really a great subject. Thank you for explaining it so well.
Krishna's mercy, Guru's mercy. Hare Krishna. Any others? Okay. So I suppose we can end. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu, thank you very much. Thank you also for so willingly helping to fill in today. Balabhadra Prabhu is not feeling very well, so he had called yesterday to see if somebody else could give class. And so thank you very much for that. When we missed you on Monday, it was not about you, but it was about us. We do miss you and your insight into all of these verses and the way you bring out the best. So it's good that we were able to hear from you today.
Well, it was wonderful to hear from Kalakanta Prabhu also.
Yes,
I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And his poems.
Yes, he spoke on Friday also, and that class was also really, really nice. It's still on YouTube, so if you want to go back and listen to it.
Absolutely. Okay.
Wonderful class. Yes. Thank you very much again, Prabhu.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Jai.
Panchakalpataru
Panchakalpataru Kripa
Sindhuvevacha
Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo
Namo Namaha.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Jai.
Thank you very much.
Have a happy Krishna conscious Thanksgiving.
You too, Pariksit Prabhu. To you and your
Hare
family.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.